Moving right on to the next shelf, this stack here is all a series of unfortunate events. I have the whole thing and it was entirely thrifted. Not a single book was bought new. The one day I found like half of this series that was there, so that was a good find. And then I have another one of my dragons here. This is a key that I found at the same antique place where I found the Folsom Prison lock and the sheriff's badge. And it is Stella's. It's from... where is this from? It's from Virginia City in Nevada from 1882. And yeah, so it's a little bit of an inside joke between me and my friend that I will not share. Me and Tori have a good laugh about this. But I've always wanted a hotel key with like the old metal tag like this one does. And I was super, super happy to find it. I'd never seen one in real life before, so I'm really glad that I own one now. So that just stays there with my dragon. And then I have a teacup and saucer here that I really love. One of the few that I decided to keep. It's kind of, has a, I bet, like, kind of an Asian vibe in my, oh my gosh, can you focus please? There we go. Okay, so yeah, it has a bit of an Asian vibe in my, I don't know, in my opinion. I feel like if I went to China and I went to a little tea shop, I feel like this is the kind of teacup and saucer that I would see there. And then, yeah, it has like these little cutouts around the saucer. And it's from Japan. I think that's maybe why it gave me Asian vibes as well. But yeah, so it's super beautiful with some gold detailing and everything too. So that sits on top of my Percy Jackson books. The few that I have 1, 2, 4, and 5. And then I also have The Lost Hero from the Heroes of Olympus. I still haven't read these. They're on my list though. My brother highly recommends them. He's read the whole series. So eventually I will get to them, and I have the first 2 to get me started, and then maybe I'll find the 3rd one eventually. And then here I have some random books that I found at the thrift store that sounded interesting, and from then on I've also heard from a few other people that it's a really good series, so I'm hoping to get to that one soonish. So I have The False Prince, The Runaway King. I have Margaret Haddox's Found, and I loved this series, or at least what I read of it when I was in middle school / high school. So I only have the first one there. I have Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and then I have Artemis Fowl, which I plan to read sometime, but they sounded interesting, and I bought them like a long time ago. I found them at the thrift store, so I still have them. And then here I have the Ink... what is this? The Ink World series, I believe is what it's called, or trilogy. So we have Inkheart, Ink Spell, and Ink Death. And I loved the movie for Inkheart before I read the book. After I read the book, I realized how inaccurate the movie was, which is probably why they didn't end up continuing it, because whoever then read the book probably didn't like the movie. But yeah, so this series took me so long to get through because they're quite thick books, and it takes me forever to get through big books. I do not like big books, and I cannot lie. So yeah, I had the soft covers for a long time, then I found the hardcover for Inkheart, then I found the hardcover for Ink Death, and didn't find the hardcover for Ink Spell for forever. So it was hardcover, softcover, hardcover. But then now I finally found hardcover, and the softcover is actually still down there because I will end up donating it or something at some point, maybe doing a giveaway, who knows. And then here I just have a masquerade mask, a fluffy one that is a kitty. And then here we have The Dragon Rider, also by Cornelia Funk, who wrote this series. And then I also have The Thief Lord, also by Cornelia Funk. And then I have Clockwork Angel, which I found at a thrift store. And I've heard good things about this series, so eventually I'll read it. And then I have all 3 books in the Fiona Var tapestry. A good friend of mine recommended these to me years and years ago. And then randomly this year I found this book at a thrift store with all 3 in it. So I have it on my shelf for when I decide to read it. So yeah, that is everything for this shelf. And then the next one here is kind of a mix mash of different things. I'm hoping to organize better for the new library as to like genre wise and everything as well. But here we have Darkfire, Hood, I believe. Yeah, Hood. This, I think it's like a Robin Hood retelling of some kind. And then we have the Black Arrow. That one there is The Secret of the Glass. Yeah, so The Secret of the Glass. This one is Giants of Frost, which I got because it reminded me of Frost Giants and it made me think of Loki, so we'll see if I ever read it. I hope I do. This one is Defender for Hire, which I absolutely loved at the time I read it. If I read it now, I probably wouldn't like it, but I'm keeping it because I liked it at the time. I have The Monstermologist, which I read last year, question mark? I'm pretty sure. Was it last? Yeah, I think it was last year. Was it this year? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no, it was last year. She says as she struggles with her own mind. Yeah, I read that last year. Really good, like, Halloween read. There's more to the series, and I'll get to them probably eventually. But yeah, really good first book. And then we have The Silver Blade. And then we have an Assassin's Creed book, which is Forsaken. And then we have, what is this one? Johannes Cabal, what is this? The Necromancer. And then we have The Book with No Name, which I also read last year. Really good first book that is more to a series that I haven't gotten to yet. We have The Murder on the Orient Express, which I tried reading and I DNF'd it because I'm very much a mood reader and I wasn't properly in the mood to read that story. I know it's good, but I just wasn't in the right mood to read it at the time, so I'll get to it again eventually. Then we have Dueled here, which I found at a thrift store and it sounded interesting. The Serpent King, which is actually a signed copy. I was at Indigo Chapters and they had this there for like $3 in their discount section and it's autographed, so that was kind of cool. I heard good things about this book and I figured why not get the autographed version if it's there anyway. And then we have The Stolen Child, which also sounded interesting at the thrift store. I have The 1000th Floor, which I found this like basically brand new copy at a thrift store almost right after I read the library version. I had taken it out of the library in like, I think like a few weeks, if a week or something after I found it at the thrift store. So that was a good find. I have Caravel, which I have read. Super good story. I have The Host by Stephanie Meyer, which was one of my favorite books at the time. I wanted to reread it this year, but I'm not going to get around to it. Maybe next year, but I'm hoping I like it just as much as I did when I first read it. Probably not going to, but one can hope. And then I have Red Queen and Glass Sword. Glass Sword was annotated like crazy. Loved that book. I loved the first two. Didn't care for the third one so much and still haven't read the fourth one. And then we have Shatter Me, Unravel Me, and Ignite Me, which are the first three in that series. And I found all three of these at the thrift store last week or the week before. Very recently anyway. And then we have the Divergent series here as well as 4. And then we have just this little golden tree. It's like metal, pretty solid as a decorative piece here. And then I have this candle. I have to use my other hand to focus. I have this candle. Which one is this again? This is Edward's bedroom, and it smells like fresh laundry, honestly. The description on it says, a cool rainy day, wall of windows, an impressive music collection. And I have not read the Twilight series, but these candles were gifted to me by the company Wilted Wicks, as well as a few others that you guys will see later. But yeah, this was one of them, and I believe it had glitter on the top. Yeah, quotations on had, because you can see it there, but I've burnt it a couple of times already, so the glitter is kind of, I think, buried further beneath the wax now already. But yeah, so it had really pretty glitter on the top. But yeah, so the last books on this shelf are the Hunger Games trilogy, which I also really loved at the time, and I really want to rewatch the movies again soon. But yeah, so that concludes that shelf. And then this last shelf has like very little on it. It has some glass bottles there that I want to use for an apothecary, as part of my apothecary collection that you guys will also see later on. There's Cisco. Hi, Cisco. And this is Cisco's bed that I made for him. Not the basket. I put the blanket. I guess I just assembled it for him. I found the little basket at the thrift store, and then I found this blanket as well and threw it in there for him. Say hi. Say hi, baby. And then on this shelf, basically, I have a manga version of Pride and Prejudice right there. This is an Assassin's Creed. What is this? A walkthrough of history from Assassin's Creed. If you can't tell, I like Assassin's Creed. It's my favorite video game, one of my favorite video game series. And then we have the singing, the crow, the riddle, and the naming there, which I also found at the thrift store, and they sounded interesting, so I got them. And then we have the Twilight series right there, which I still haven't read, as I mentioned. This is the paperback version of Inkspell I was telling you about, and then I also have a paperback of Eragon. I have all the hardcover for the Inheritance Cycle, but I figured to reread them, which I plan to do hopefully soon. Paperback would be nice, so I kept the paperback, but we'll see if I continue to keep it or if I'll end up just donating it when I pack everything up when we move. So yeah, that concludes that shelf. Cisco is going to sit in his bed because you're a good boy. Are you a good pup? Yes, you are. So that concludes this shelf, and on to the last two, which are also my favorite shelves. I guess I keep saying shelves, I mean like bookcases in general. You guys understand what I'm saying. Anyways, first up on this shelf here, I guess I'll give you an overview. That is the overview. Like so. So at the top of this shelf here we have this wonderful knight in partly shining armor. I found this guy at a thrift store and I had to have him because I just thought he was so magnificent, and I do plan on refinishing his armor bits because they look really, I don't know, not like, they look pretty cheap, if that makes sense. So I wanted to redo it, make it look a little bit more authentic and whatever. In here, this is a jar that's been long forgotten, but I put book titles in here so that if I was stumped as to what to read, I could just pull out a title of a book. But like I said before, I'm very much a mood reader, so the title that I'll pull out might not be what I'm into, so then I'll just put it back anyway. So it's just kind of up there, I guess. And then there in the back is a changing dragon picture. Oh my gosh, I'm holding this camera up so high. But you can kind of get the idea. That was given to me by my brother and sister-in-law for a birthday or Christmas present. I think it was birthday, but I was really into dragons for a while there, so they got me that, which was really nice a couple of years ago. And then at the top here we have a couple of my favorite reads of 2018. We have To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo and Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom by Leah Bardego. And I love these books. So good. And then we have a candle here. And then this hat belongs to that shelf technically, so I'll cover that later. So let's go on to the first shelf on this bookcase. Okay, so first up for this shelf, I have this string of lights right here, and I have a couple of magnetic bookmarks hanging off of it, so that's what these two little guys are here. And then these first two shelves on these are antiques and collectibles, so I don't know if I really want to go through all of these, because some of these I don't even know what they are, honestly. So this, I believe, is one of the oldest books I own, and if I'm not wrong, it's from the early 1900s or late 1800s. And then I have a vintage edition of Tom Sawyer, and then I have Best in Children's Books. I think, what was this again? Was this Black Beauty? Oh no, this was just like a bunch of different children's stories, I think. And then we have The Common Sense of Music here, which is another just random vintage book that I found somewhere. The Prince and the Pauper right here. I had Reasoning. I had a lot more than these at one point, and I just went through them all, because at one point I just collected old books for the sake of collecting them without actually having like a reason for wanting to buy it. I just bought it simply because it was old, so I just had to control myself a little bit and like wean through the books that actually wanted to keep and which ones I didn't. So yeah, anyway, continuing on, I have, what is this? Oh no, this one here. Oh no, this, I was up to here. I have The Little Lame Prince, and then here we have a vintage edition of The Pilgrim's Progress, and then this is an what does that say? The Innocent Voyage. And then this is a German edition of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is really cool. This is also one of the oldest books I own. As you can see, it's a little bit worse for wear. Oh my gosh, these lights are kind of annoying. And then that, I believe, is a German edition of the Bible. That one there. This one, what is this? What are you? Oh, this is Ben-Hur. And then this book, I believe, is the one I was talking about before that I thought was something from my mom's. So this was like a little poem book of some kind that my mom had. in her possession when we were going through her stuff after she passed away. I kept that. And then up here we have a beautiful edition of, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh, my lights. Oh no. Oh. There we go. Fixed it. Everything's fine. We're okay. Black Beauty is what I meant to say. I should be doing this with my left hand so I can control my camera. There we go. So yeah, absolutely gorgeous edition. Has beautiful illustrations on the inside too. So these will all have a little bit of a better home too at the new library. All of them will be displayed a little bit nicer. Okay, so where was I here? These shelves are going to be a mess. Oh my gosh, when you guys are going to watch this, you're going to be like, what is she talking about? Anyways, here I have Truth Dexter. I was thinking about like donating this one as well, but when I read a little bit in it, it sounded interesting, so maybe one day I'll read it. Who knows? These lights keep moving and they're all of a sudden going to fall and I'm going to like freak out. Anyways, here we have Tales from Shakespeare. And then the Bobbsey twins on Blueberry Island is that green one. And then we have an old version of The Wizard of Oz. We have King Lear, which is one of the first classic books I ever bought. We have The Great Gatsby, The Phantom of the Opera, Mutiny on the Bounty, and I just liked how beautiful this cover was. And again, I want to do like an in-depth video on all of my vintage and collectibles as well, so you guys can see the covers a little bit better then. Here we have a fairy tale book, and these are all fairy tales by Hans Andersen. And it's just really, really pretty book. Here we have the illustrated Sherlock Holmes. Also a beautiful book. I will say that many times over. And then here, this candle is from Library Lights, and it is the Forbidden West Wing, and it smells like roses, which is perfect for Beauty and the Beast, which is why my little Emma Watson bell was there. Oh, and this necklace hanging off of it is the 221B Baker Street key. So I have that there. And then this is Treasure Island and Kidnapped by Robert Lewis. This is the complete Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale, so I have another one there. Oh hi, Emma / Belle, you can move. Here I have the Heart of the West, and then this was actually a wedding gift from one of my dear friends, and it's a beautiful, beautiful. Which one is this? Is this Franklin Library? Yeah, I believe this is a Franklin Library edition of Little Women, so it's worth a lot, and it's gorgeous. This is Journeys Through Bookland, and I just mainly bought this book because of the cover. It has a ship on the front, and it's like, it pops out. It has like really nice texture, so it's a really nice book. This is just also another masquerade mask. And then we have here The Greatest Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, a beast of a book that I found at one of my favorite bookstores. One of my favorite indie, like, used bookstores. And then we have another version of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, and this one is beautiful, has absolutely gorgeous illustrations, gold-edged pages like so. And then the last one on this shelf is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Also another beautiful edition. All throughout the book has like very lovely illustrations, so that's why I have that one. I'm a sucker for books with beautiful art, so you guys will see that as a theme. So yeah, that is what's on this shelf. Oh, I guess I didn't cover what was on the other side over here. We'll quickly go over that. Here we have a Sherlock with his violin, I almost said fiddle, with his violin pop figure here. And then we have a iron tea kettle that I found at a thrift store that I thought was really pretty. This is a little piece of like geode crystal, I guess, with Casa Loma on the top. Casa Loma is a castle located in Toronto, which is the city capital of Ontario that I live near. I'm like 3 hours away from there, so I visited Casa Loma a couple times and I love it there. This is a dresser knob from the first abandoned house me and my friends ever went into. This is just a little iron cream pot, I guess, that I found at a thrift store as well that I thought was cute. A lot of this stuff that I have in here I might wean out when we pack, just because it might not be necessary for me to take it with. This is a Peter Pan themed phone case that my one cousin gave to me for Christmas one year, and I love it, so I have it there. And then this is actually a piece of salt. Yes, it was salt. A piece of salt buildup, I guess, or a salt clump from Death Valley in California. So when I visited my friend in Vegas, we went to Death Valley National Park, so I took a little souvenir from there. So yeah, that concludes this shelf. And next up we have one of my absolute favorite shelves, and it's just because look how like beautiful it is with all of these books on here. First up we have a Masquerade mask here, as well as a blue one with a little tassel. Here we have a rum bottle, is what I call it. It reminds me of something Captain Jack Sparrow would drink out of, so that's why that is there. I'll move that for now. Then we have a Disney, like the cartoon version of Beauty and the Beast, Belle. Here, a little pop figure. And then I have a beautiful pocket watch that I found at an antique store. And it just opens like that. And it has a little clip as well. I can pull it this way. There we go. A little pocket clip. So yeah, I don't know the story behind this, but I just thought it was really pretty. It has gorgeous detailing on the front, so that is one of my favorite little items there. I guess all of the stuff on my shelves are my favorite because I keep saying that. Anyways, the first book we have here, and I'll try not to cast a shadow on myself, is The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. I will move some of these items so that I can get to these books a little bit better. This one was an illustrated version, so I have that one there. This next one here is The Three Musketeers, and this one is Wuthering Heights. We have another Pride and Prejudice. I believe this was the first Pride and Prejudice I owned. I still haven't actually read this story. I know I need to, but I just love all the various editions for that book. I think they're beautiful. And then here we have, it's just called Kim, but I like the way this book looked. It was really pretty, and I didn't have many green vintage books, so that's why that's there. And I have a Grimm's Fairy Tale right here, as well as here. This is one of my absolutely favorite books. This is one of the first vintage kind of collectible editions that I bought, and I actually ended up finding, I think like a year later, I found an identical matching copy at the same thrift store where I found this one, and I sent it to my friend in Vegas, so we have matching copies. This is actually a find from like last week or the week before, is Jack London. I love Jack London's story White Fang, so hoping to get to some of his other works sometime in the future. White Fang was one of the like few classics that I read a lot when I was younger, so it's dear to my heart. And then here we have The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and that is what it looks like, the cover, super pretty. Here we have David Copperfield, also beautiful. And then here we have The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. And yeah, you can tell why I have these books. They're just gorgeous. They're just so pretty to look at. Let me move that one. And then here I have another version of Jack London's stories. Beautiful. This is a little mark that was on there, unfortunately, but found it at the thrift store for like $5, so wasn't going to say no. Now this giant beast is the Globe Illustrated Shakespeare The Complete Works annotated as well. Beastly book, like it is massive. Found this at the thrift store for like $7, so that was a steal. So this is like center of attention because it's so big. And then on this side we have Vanity Fair. I'm gonna move my key necklace there. Vanity Fair. And then we have The Adventures of Robin Hood. Well, let me pull this one out so you guys can get a quick peek. And most of these also have like gold edged pages, which is really pretty. Yeah, and then there's that one. And then I'll move some of this stuff so I can get to the other books. I will go over this. This was also a find from a abandoned house that me and my friends went into. It was magnifying glass. And then we have another Sherlock pop figure. This one, he is in his trench coat. And then I have a pipe here, which I also found at an abandoned house, the same one where I found the magnifying glass. I gave it a thorough cleaning. I will never use this, but it's a really cool item to have with my Sherlock Holmes things, I guess. This is Az Travar's little pocket mirror that I believe was in, oh, you guys can see me. Hello. That was in a Owl Crate box, if I'm not wrong. I'm pretty sure it was Owl Crate. Here we have a lion. Let me see if my camera will focus on this. Yeah, a lion ring that I found at a thrift store. And I just, anytime I see like jewelry like this, it just makes me think of stories that I could revolve around it for some reason. I don't know why I do that. Or it just also reminds me of Aslan from yeah, it is Chronicles of Narnia. I was like, wait, that doesn't sound right. But yeah, so it's just a super pretty ring that I display there. And then this is a really cool little decorative piece that I'm hoping to use more in my new library. Focus. There we go. So it does turn on. If I can, there we go. So it's just really, really pretty, and I just really like the way it looked. So hoping to use this a lot more in my new library and in future Bookstagram photos. So that's cool. I'll just move that. And then this is a little pouch that the Az Travar's little pocket mirror came in. Okay, so where were we? We had, yes, and then we have another Adventures of Huckleberry Finn here, because it is a beautiful book. And then here we have Pilgrim's Progress, bright, bright red. And then we have, I believe this is Reader's Digest version of Dracula by Bram Stoker. And sorry. And it has a little bat at the top, and I just thought it's super, super pretty. Here we have book by O. Henry, and this is actually a Franklin Library edition as well that I found at the thrift store for like $5, and I know Franklin Library edition books go for a lot more than that. I found out recently, and I have yet to like do my own appraisal of a lot of the books that I have on my shelf. And I'm just curious, you know, to see how much a lot of my books are actually worth, because I got so many at the thrift store for like a few dollars. But anyways, the next one here is the Illustrated Sherlock Holmes Treasury Unabridged. This is matching to my Grimm's fairy tale as well as my Hans Andersen, so it's all kind of matchy-matchy, so I'm hoping to kind of have those all together in the new library as well. And then here we have another version of Black Beauty. Black Beauty was another one of those classics that I read a lot of. I repeatedly read that book when I was growing up. I had this whole obsession with horses when I was younger. I think almost every girl did, or has had an obsession with horses at some point or another. So I've been slowly collecting various editions of Black Beauty as well, because that story is so dear to my heart. And then here we have the Scarlet Letter. So this one's just kind of plain. This one is Mark Twain, Tom Sawyer. And then here we have a unique edition of Treasure Island. So yeah, that is that shelf there. I've got some roses at the top that I just think add a nice touch to these beautiful, beautiful antique books. But yeah, so that concludes that one, and we'll go on to the next one. Alright, so next up we have a reference books shelf, basically. So a lot of books that I could use for referencing or researching, and some other display items. Let me just scooch closer on my chair here. First up, we have a Webster's Dictionary, nothing exciting. We have a Martyr's Mirror. I believe this is actually my husband's copy. I know he said he had a Martyr's Mirror copy, and I'm pretty sure I didn't own one, so I'm pretty sure that's his. Not 100% sure though. And then we have the Complete Handbook for Novel Writing back there. This is actually my husband's book. This is the hunting guide that I bought for him. I think was it like either birthday or dating anniversary or something. I can't quite remember. And then here we have Rupi Kaur's The Sun and Her Flowers, and then a field guide to the stars and planets right there. Then here at the front, I'll put that back, we have a Wonder Woman pop figure because I love her. And this pop figure also is just super fierce, and I love it. And then here we have another one of Wilted Wicks candles, if my camera would stop being stupid. There we go. This is late night reading, and the description says just one more chapter, extra coffee in the morning. And this is one of my favorite candles. Let me just open it real quick. It smells like cappuccino, and it had this chunky glow. It still does. Why do I keep saying in past tense? It has this gold chunky glitter all over it, and it just smells amazing now when I open it again. I don't even have it that close to my face, and it just smells so good. So this was one of my favorite ones of the three. This was my favorite one of the three that she sent me at the time. So I really love that candle. And then this little card was given to me by Tori, and it just says, good friends are like stars. You don't always see them, but you know they're always there. And that's very much, you know, appropriate for us because we live so far away from each other, and we can only see each other like once a year, if that. So good friends, you don't always have to have them close by. So really, really sweet card that she sent me. Okay, and then back here we have, that is a curtain rod end from an abandoned house that I actually didn't go into. It was a night that we went to abandoned houses, but I was super tired and didn't go into that house. So they got me a little like curtain rod as a souvenir from that house. They all took one. So, and then here I have a little like candlestick holder, and then a little Dorbs Cruella back there. And then I have a puzzle box that one of my friends gave me for a Christmas present or birthday present, and it has like a couple of various cool little items inside. I won't open it right now because I don't know if I'll remember exactly how to open it right now on camera, so maybe another time. And then here we have a little feather pen that I got at a magical little shop in Toronto when I was last there. And it's super fine tip. My camera won't even focus on it. It's from Curiosa shop. If anyone lives in Toronto, I hope you guys have been there because you really need to go there. It's magical, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, and I want to go again. Anyways, here we have a candle from a company that no longer exists. I was a rep for them like 2 years ago, I want to say, and they did candles and blankets, but they closed their shop. This one in particular is Virgo. Here we have a book on 1421, the year China discovered the world. And then this is The Secret Language of Dreams. This is Guns at Sea, which has a lot to do about pirate ships and things, which is appropriate for the book I am writing. This is Eyewitness Books of Space. And then here we just have a bunch of various reference books. These ones here, these black ones in particular, this is the Pirates, the Vikings, the Armada, the Frigates, and the Men of War. So this has a lot to do with pirates and sailors and seafaring items and things, and it's full with beautiful pictures, and I love these books a lot. Up here we have Arms and Armor, which also has to do with guns and ships. Oh no, this is actually, sorry, I am lying to you. This has to do with armor, obviously, and swords and things of that nature, weaponry, all that kind of stuff. This one, Sailing Ships, has to do all about ships and things. And then this is actually a book all on antique maps, which has been proven to be very helpful in my book writing process, as my book is a historical fiction, so I need to make sure all of my stuff, like my geography, is at least historically correct. So I have that, and it's been very helpful. These I got a very long time ago. They are referenced. This is Ancient Egypt. This is African Kingdoms, the Reformation, the Age of Faith, Ancient America, Imperial Rome, Age of Progress, Renaissance, Age of Enlightenment. Oh my gosh, I couldn't even read that. And then this one is Classic Greece, and then Age of Exploration. And then here we have the Canadians. So this has all to do, pretty sure, of Canadian history. And then the story of the Wild West. And then we have also here Everyday Life Through the Ages. So this has a lot to do with fashion of the ages and what they did in everyday life, as it says, through many of the years. So that's a really cool book to have. This is a candle that we got at Cedar Point the last time that we were there. Oh my gosh, I'm making things fall. Boop. And then this little necklace here, I'll show you guys in a bit. Let me just put this back. There we go. This is a necklace that I got in a giveaway as well, and it is the Coraline key. And then this actually is a really cool find that I found at a local antiques market. This is actually what Main Street Kingsville looks like, Kingsville, Ontario. Kingsville, Ontario is where I grew up. I lived there for 12 years and I absolutely love the town. And this is a photo from, what was it? 1962. So it is quite a while ago. I believe this, or is this taken, I think this pic, like the photo is from 1925, but the stamp on the back says 1962, as in like that's when they mailed it. So it actually has like the handwriting of whoever sent it and everything, and it's just, oh, nope, stay in your sleeve, stay in there. And then it has like an old stamp and everything on there too, and it's just a really cool postcard. And the fact that it's from what I consider my hometown, I absolutely love it. So I was really happy to find that. So yeah, that's there along with other history books. And yeah, so that basically, I guess, concludes this shelf.